a walk-off winner for the Fish on opening day. And it's cut on and missed. That thing is back, and it's gone. And this team is electric.
Welcome into the first Marlins Hot Stove Show on this second day of December. Steven Strom, my good friend Jack McMullen, the radio voice of the Miami Marlins. We've got one of, I think, 8 or 9 shows. All shows will be on the Marlins YouTube channel along with our Twitter at Marlins Radio. And Jack, how long has it been, man? It feels like it's, I don't know. Does it feel long ago that we had that last game against the Mets? I don't know, but here we are post-Thanksgiving. Hope it was a good one for you. We're off and running now, baby. Hot Stove Show season has officially begun.
It's amazing, man. It was a good Thanksgiving. I grew a beard. I shaved it off for this. It's time to get back into baseball mode. You know, people do the off-season beard. I'm excited for you guys to see Clayton McCullough's off-season beard, but it kind of looks like what he's got going during the baseball season as well. I view that as my time to kind of like let it go, and then I, cut it off and I get ready to go, get back into baseball mode. You have an issue with that, though.
I have a huge issue with that. I got my soul patch. If you really zoom in, if you put your phone close to your eyes, you could probably find a little bit of a soul patch for our visual audience, but for our audio audience, it doesn't matter. I can tell them that I got a beard like Santa, and they could believe me, but I don't, and that's okay. You mentioned Clayton McCullough. He will join the program. I mean, it was an awesome conversation. We actually got a lot from him as far as positional changes, or if guys are going to see if they can add to their arsenal around the diamond. We also will talk a little bit about some extension stuff. We've heard about Kyle Stowers and Yuri Perez. We got a ton to get to, but a lot has changed, Jack, since we last chatted. We'll do the 40-man stuff. There's been some changes there. Coaches have departed. Coaches has been added. We got a Gold Glover in Javier Sanoja and some promotions within the front office. So let's do some knee-jerk reactions. Okay. You have the floor, my friend. Where do you want to start?
I want to start with some of the player departures, and I just want your knee-jerk reaction. What is the first thing you think of when you remember this guy's tenure in a Marlins uniform? And I want to start with one of the guys that was claimed off waivers, this one by the Baltimore Orioles. You saw a lot of George Soriano over your 3 years as a Miami Marlins broadcaster. What are you going to remember about Soriano?
Well, I remember his first year in 23. He came out as a real weapon out of the bullpen. We didn't know a ton about George, but he had a really good slider. And I think sometimes we've talked about this with so much of the young players, that ignorance is bliss. And some of these guys have that. And I think that may have been a situation where George Soriano may have not realized this guy was pitching at the big league level and was more just playing instead of thinking. Yep. He comes back in 24, struggles. Then we saw what happened here in 25. I want to think from a positive standpoint, Jack, about that 23 year, but I think it was time for the Marlins to move on from someone from George Soriano.
It was a long road to the big leagues, and it was a really exciting big league stint for this guy who was claimed by Colorado, Troy Johnston. Troy was claimed by the Rockies. He will be with the Rockies. He will, in all likelihood, be making the trip to Miami for opening day. It was cool to see this come to fruition with this organization and Troy Johnston in the back half of 25. What are you going to remember most about Troy?
The walk-off home run.
Yeah.
The walk-off home run, to me, he had his Marlins moment, which is really cool. But if I want to play GM here or president of baseball operations, he was 28 years old, and it got too late for Troy. It was unfortunate. He tore it up in the minor leagues, but it felt like there was always some hesitations to bring him up or people blocking him up the way. But I think for Troy, I'm going to remember him as someone that was incredible to have around the clubhouse. He hit over 270, but it was his personality that I really enjoyed being around, Jack. But I think we will both agree that, again, this is one of those situations where you can understand why the Marlins made this move.
Of course, yeah. You feel like you could have a little bit more power at first base or in a corner outfield position from the left side. And, then what you got with Troy Johnston. I do love that you singled out a moment with that walk-off home run. It was great. I'm going to tell you, I think his first base hit in St. Louis was the moment that'll stick with me because he had that fist pump heading to first base. That was clearly a moment that he's thought about for his entire life and worked so hard for. So that's the moment that jumps out to me. Couple other guys. Joey Weimer was purchased by San Francisco after he was designated for assignment. Other departures, Jesus Tinoco, Freddie Tarnick, Valente Belloso, Brian Navarreto, Christian Roa, Jack Winkler, they all elect free agency. Is there someone in that bunch that jumps out to you? Because I have a note on Tarnick after you go.
Oh, well, you're being so nice with being the point guard here. This is supposed to be my job, but I'm going to continue to give you some takes because this is the take master. Honestly, man, like the two that jump out is Tinoco because we got him in 2024 and he was nails. He was awesome. And then had an up and down year last year. But a lot of it, Jack, is because of the injury. He couldn't stay healthy. And his year pretty much being, ended up being wiped out. The other one, man, is Belloso. Like Belloso, I'm always going to have a soft spot for. Remember his debut in Kansas City, pitched to a 3 ERA in 2024, came out of the bullpen, was up and down for the most part of the season as far as AAA to the majors, and really struggled, I thought, to end the 2025 year. Look, the Marlins have a surplus of pitching. Again, I feel like a homer saying this, but I understand why, someone like Valente Belloso was outrighted and eventually, released. So those are the two that jump out to me. You had mentioned Freddie Tarnick. Why?
I mentioned Tarnick because he's pursuing an opportunity overseas. He signed to play in Japan with the Hiroshima Carp. And I just look at that as such a cool opportunity for these guys and to up their earning potential a little bit. The reported number is over $1.5 million for him, which is great. So really happy for Freddie Tarnick, who's going to play for the Hiroshima Carp in Nippon Professional Baseball in Japan. That is in all likelihood the second best league in the world, only behind Major League Baseball. It's probably on par with AAA baseball. It may even be better. So congratulations to Freddie Tarnick on pursuing that opportunity, but I'm totally with you on a couple of those guys. Really cool to, think back on their time in a positive light. We do have some ads, and I want you to try saying the pitcher's last name. You got it? B-R-Z-Y. How do you spell it?
No. Don't do this to me this early. I mean, I know who was selected to the 40-man. He was selected to the 40-man, no?
Yeah, he was acquired. They claimed him off waivers from Washington. Zach what?
No. I'm not even going to try to do it.
It's
I'm not
Zach
even going to try to do it.
Brixey. Not Brisky, Brixey. That's really hard.
Bricks, like it's brick outside?
Yeah, kind of Brixey, like you're seeing a brick. I'm trying to find the correct spelling of it here, but
Brixey.
I'm butchering it so much that it's not even populating on Baseball Reference. Here we go. B-R-Z-Y-K-C-Y. Zach Brixey is coming over from Washington. He was claimed. 26-year-old, was with them in the big leagues, parts of 24 and 25. I've got 32 earned runs in 28 and 2/3. Not great. Struggled ERA-wise with Rochester in 25, which is their AAA affiliate, but in 24, really good. ERA just over 2 in 35 innings of work. Four-seamer, curveball. He's that north-south guy. So an interesting reliever to add to the fold.
Okay, very good. We have some also big addition, Joe Mack. Welcome. Yep. Welcome to the 40-man. We should do – hold on, I have that round of applause thing. Give me 1 second. We had this earlier in the Clayton McCullough interview, so let's do it. Here we go. Joe Mack, congratulations.
I like you.
Obviously, there's phenomenal. A couple different things. Hold on. There's a gong.
That's good. What else you got?
Drum roll bongos. Like a hot take. This is for a good hot take.
It's not your typical drum roll, but it's unorthodox, and I like it. Joe Mack obviously represented the Marlins in the Futures game. He and Thomas White. Can I get another round of applause for William Kempner and Josh White? There we go. Two right-handed relievers. Kempner, 24 years old. Josh White, 25 years old. They were some of the best relievers in the minor leagues outright, not just with the Marlins organization. Kempner acquired from the Giants a year ago for international bonus pool money. Really strong year. Spent it pretty much evenly spread out between Beloit, Pensacola, and Jacksonville. So high A to triple A. Will Kempner, 2.26 ERA. In 68 innings, he punched out 95. Fastball, slider, cutter. It's a weird-looking delivery. It's almost sidearm, but it's super whippy, and the fastball gets into the mid-90s. He can really attack lefties and righties. Lefties are harder. They're harder, I guess, for them to see Kempner than righties would. He succeeds more against lefties than righties, which is a touch out of the ordinary.
Reverse splits.
reverse splits, opponents hit 137 against him. And then Josh White, 25-year-old fifth-round pick of the Fish in 22 out of Cal Berkeley. Great season in 24 between high A and double A, almost better in 25 between double A and triple A. ERA went from 3.02 to 1.86. And in 68 innings, this guy K'd 107 and walked just 23. Right-handed hitters, a 450 OPS against Josh White. So Kempner, White, and Mack are your 40-man ads.
Okay, congratulations to them. We do have to get to some news on the coaching front. We did see a couple of individuals leave the organization. They were poached, as they say now in 2025, meaning other organizations saw their work, they liked it, and they said, you know what, we're going to offer you X, Y, and Z. Come work for us. Derek Showman, Tyler Smarslock, just some of the individuals, Joe Singley, Chichi Gonzalez, but I don't, we don't have time to go through every single one of them, but from the top, Derek Showman, incredible dude. He had so much success with the Marlins offense, 9th in team batting average, 6 in hits per game, 6 in doubles, the 4th lowest strikeout rate. If you ask Kyle Stowers who his biggest influence was from a coaching perspective, it would be Derek Showman. Tyler Smarslock, another guy, worked with now a Gold Glover, Javier Sanoja. Second shout to him. Good job. First base coach. He had a ton of responsibilities on this team, and he handled it incredibly well. Joe Singley worked with Nick Fortes before he was traded. Liam Hicks, Augustine Ramirez, both would say were projects, and he was poached to Baltimore as well. And then Chichi Gonzalez, everyone has so many great things. I haven't heard anyone say a bad thing about Chichi.
No, man, it's really cool. And these are not lateral moves for these guys. I want to make that very clear. All of these guys are elevating their role. Joe Singley is going to go be the major league field coordinator for the Baltimore Orioles. You've got Smarslock, who's going to be the major league field coordinator for the Washington Nationals. So you have 2 field coordinators that are coming from the Marlins coaching staff in 25. And then Derek Showman has the opportunity to make that jump to being a lead hitting coach in Major League Baseball. This guy was an assistant with the Minnesota Twins. He was an assistant to Pedro Guerrero with the Miami Marlins. Now, those two work in tandem pretty much every day. It didn't feel like a superior and, employer-employee situation. Yes. But this is his opportunity to go be the guy in Chicago. And by the way, Showman from the Chicagoland area, so happy that he gets to be close to his family. Just happy for these guys kind of growing, and you'll hear that sentiment expressed by Clayton.
So Derek Showman goes to the White Sox, Joe Singley to Baltimore, Tyler Smarslock to Washington, and Chichi Gonzalez out as well. So I don't want to get too much into the coaching staff additions because we are eventually going to have them on. I don't want to spoil it for the audience. Plus, we have Clayton on the other side of this break. Chris Hess, the assistant hitting coach. Corbin Day, assistant hitting coach. Craig Driver, first base / catching coach. How about the 3 C's? A 3C monster right there. Chris, Corbin, and Craig. They call them Drives. That's what we got from Clayton today. Drives. I love these nicknames, man.
I'm in on Drives. I'm also I'm fascinated by Hess, Chris Hess, who's going to be one of the assistant hitting coaches. He comes from Boston. He was with the Portland Sea Dogs. You mentioned, just when we were texting back and forth a couple of weeks ago, he worked with a lot of really talented players. Roman Anthony is one of the best young outfielders in Major League Baseball. Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell. The Red Sox have something unique, and it's a bat speed program. They help guys get a little bit quicker. They help them get quicker through the zone, more power there. We talked a little bit about Liam Hicks kind of improving the bat speed as the season went along. Wags. I'm curious to see what type of ideology Chris Hess can take into the Marlins building, whether it's bat speed, whether it's bat to ball, however he may influence the Marlins in a positive way.
The big question for me, Jack, too, with these hires and how you go about doing it is you're not going to replace Tyler Smarslock, Derek Showman, but you want to replace a lot of the qualities that they brought, but you also want to have that blend of some newness to the organization and let them put their touches on whatever it is. So, baseball is incredibly difficult to be consistent in for so many reasons. I mean, the health is the number one, but the number two is there's constant movement with the coaching staff. You never know what player clicks with what coach and so on and so forth. But at least you got to trust what Clayton, McCullough and company did in their first year. You would have to trust them here in the second year as well. Do you have anything else to add on the coaching front before we go to the front office?
I don't think so.
Okay. Promotions. It's promotion time. Congratulations, Gabe Kapler, the 6th general manager in franchise history. Frankie Polari promoted to vice president, amateur forecasting and player evaluation initiatives. That's going to be my next goal. Vinesh Kanthan elevated to senior director of baseball operations. Congrats to all 3 of them. Let's talk about Gabe Kapler.
Yeah.
Gabe Kapler, former manager of the year, player obviously with the Red Sox and the Tampa Bay Rays. He was in a position last year as an assistant general manager. Jack, I think this is a big deal that he is now being named the general manager. We have felt his influence and we've seen his footprints on this organization. And through 2 years, I think he's made a ton of strides with where the Marlins want to get to.
Of course. I think it's a huge deal. And I do want to specify that Peter Bendix is still the president of baseball operations. Peter Bendix is still the lead decision maker, and he is heading the baseball operations department. But Gabe Kapler getting this promotion is huge. I was trying to do the Google dive. Who are the guys in the history of Major League Baseball that have been managers, players in the big leagues, and general managers? And the people that I got to, I mean, you got to go back a couple of decades. There is not someone off the top of my head that I think about, oh, this guy was a manager in the 2000s and a GM in the 2010s. I think he's the first guy in a long while to play in the major leagues, manage in the major leagues, and be a general manager. The other thing is, general manager, that title has changed a little bit over the last few years, right? There are presidents of baseball operations. There's a different structure in pretty much every organization. But I looked at GMs and president of baseball operations around Major League Baseball right now. And if I have my count right, Gabe Kapler is one of just 8 or 9 guys to play in the big leagues and be a GM or a president of baseball operations. I'll list out the rest of them. And these are some of the top executives around Major League Baseball. Craig Breslow, who's the lead decision maker in Boston, right? Chris Getz with the Chicago White Sox, Chris Young with the Texas Rangers, Jerry DiPoto in Seattle, Brandon Gomes with the LA Dodgers, who works with Andrew Friedman, Sam Fuld in Philadelphia, Buster Posey, San Francisco. Those are the only other guys that have played in the big leagues and hold a GM or a president of baseball operations role that are active right now. So I just felt like this was an exclusive club for Gabe to join, and I'm so happy for him, and I'm so happy for the organization.
Great research by you.
There you go.
We have a ton to get to. We've got Clayton McCullough. We've got extension rumors. Okay, we've heard it over the last couple of weeks. Kyle Stowers camp, Yuri Perez. We will ask Clayton about that. We will talk about Gabe Kapler. I think Jack laid it out tremendously to all of you how big of a deal it is, and he had mentioned all of the, or not all, like a very few amount of players that are now in the position that Gabe Kapler is in. Again, Javier Sanoja wins a Gold Glove, who turned 23. The first Marlin since 2017, Marcelo Zuna, to capture a Gold Glove award and the 9th player in franchise history. So congratulations to him.
It is kind of funny to think about that. Sorry to cut you off, but Marcelo Zuna, who is famously a designated hitter now, is the last guy to win a Gold Glove.
Yes, it is very ironically funny. I'm excited to get to Clayton, Jack. It's great to see him, and it's great to hear from him. So unless you have anything else you want to throw here to the big man, to the man of the hour,
let's fire up the skipper.
And we had a big surprise. Me and Jack, you think we've been like hibernating? No. We've been grinding. Wait for this production value. Okay. We're going to break and we'll come back with Clayton. That is next on the Marlins Hot Stove Show.
Hey, Fish fans, this holiday season, share the joy of baseball with the Marlins Holiday Bundle. It starts on opening day, which is already included. That's on Thursday, March 26th against the Colorado Rockies. Then pick a marquee game like the Phillies, the Mets, or the Dodgers come into town and add up to 3 Tier 2 games for even more family fun. And because it's the season of giving, you'll get a special discount on a customized City Connect jersey. Make memories that last. Visit marlins.com/holiday today.
How about that production as we welcome in the manager of the Miami Marlins, Clayton McCullough, Steven Strom here, Jack McMullen. What do you think about the production elements, Mr. McCullough?
I love that. I got fired up there, seeing some highlights and hearing the music and Lone Depot rocking. You got me going here in early December.
Well, we're so pumped to have you. And Jack, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, are you rolling with the Lone Dome? Are you coining that? Have you worked on trademarking that or no?
I don't know. I guess that did. I didn't even really, I kind of said it off cuff. I think it just, you say things around the clubhouse or out there, the Lone Dome. And then I think I had it come out in one media session and then, well, now it's the Lone Dome. So I don't know if I can take full credit for it. But it had a good ring to it, I guess, at the time.
It's amazing to watch some of those highlights because you can feel, I don't know if it feels long ago. I don't know if it does for you. I don't know if it does for Jack, but all of those highlights bring back some incredible memories of what was an awesome year. Clayton, 79 wins. And I know you don't want me to mention this, but you did finish 5th in Manager of the Year for that award. I know you don't care about that, but I guess I want to first start here, and I hope you had a great Thanksgiving with you and the family. I describe this season as the innocent climb, where there wasn't a ton of expectations. You guys came in every single day. You guys formed an identity, and you guys, I think, surprised a lot of people this year. Going into the offseason, what is required to take the next step, and how does that define for you?
Yeah, Steven, that's a great question. That's probably the one thing that is on my mind more than anything else at this point. And if I have, anything that keeps me up at night is we're not guaranteed to have a better year just because we did what we did last year. And hey, we finished strong. And, there were a number of individual players that were certainly proud of the progress that they made. And I think collectively we set out last year to really just try to get better, right? To try to raise our floor. And so the fact that we were able to do some nice things and, you said, maybe exceed some expectations from the outside. It's no guarantee that, hey, next year we can pencil in, a 7, 8, 9 win improvement from this just because. And so the sense of urgency that I believe our group had last year, and not only within the games, but how they prepared and how they worked, how our staff approached things, the relentlessness that I think our team kind of became somewhat identified by was, how they just, never gave up. Those are things for me that we can't stray from that. I think those are really important core parts of what is going to hopefully continue for our group to keep getting better and to win more games. Is that we're going to go into next year still as an underdog. Maybe we're projected to win a few more games than we were projected before last season, but at the end of the day, it's still going to be the teams that are going to be forecasted to have the big years, and that's fine. So I think that we're going to just continue to keep our head down and understand that our path to continuing to trend in an upward trajectory is going to be through our own improvements, improving our processes, our players getting better, and us approaching each game with that relentless mentality to just focus on, trying to find a way to win that one and not getting too caught up in, what we think September may look like.
Clayton, a huge part of your job, a big chunk is being an effective communicator with some of the best people on the planet at what they do. And you mentioned the strides that so many players made for you. You look at that 26-man roster at the end of the year, you could say that 10 to 15 of them had the best baseball year they've ever had, doing it at the highest level. How do you communicate to those guys leaving for the offseason, hey, we need to push towards making that the bedrock. We need to build off of that. Is there a way that you can communicate, let's build from where you finished 25?
Yeah, Jack, I think a big part of that was we have met with almost every player on our 40-man roster and gone through player plans, with them. Carson Vitale, Bryson Nakamura really, spearheaded this project of sorts. And we felt it was incredibly important to, take a holistic approach. Medical is included, strength and conditioning, and including also maybe their skill specific coaches, but that, hey, look, there's going to be some goals this off season. We're going to try to keep it as simple as we can, but try to give them a clear path in which to have focus for this off season. And as you said, you're not guaranteed anything from one year to the next. And I believe our players appreciate, look, most of them haven't had the easiest path, to get here. And so you realize how quickly the rug can be pulled out from under you if you aren't always striving to get better. So we felt it was, look, what we can do is set out 4 goals for each player that we felt are most important right now to put them in a good position to build off of, certainly what they had done last year, but then also to try to springboard that into a more productive 2026.
It's a great way to open up this discussion too, Jack, because there were so many guys that, had amazing years that, again, not a lot of people thought not only could they play at this level, but could they put together the season they did, Kyle Stowers being one of them. And Clayton, I did want to ask you, because there's been some stuff that has been swirling around about extensions, Kyle Stowers, Yuri Perez. I don't want to dive into too much personal information, but how exciting is it and how important is it for this organization to build off that excitement from last year?
Yeah, certainly. I think it speaks to what we feel is like a really budding group of young players that have the chance, we believe, to, be part of us making this a consistent winner. And so I think the one thing I feel like we'll definitely have more of in 26 than we had before 25, with some clarity going into, this spring training with, pieces of the roster, maybe even what we can somewhat kind of expect from them. And look, we don't know what's going to happen health-wise. We don't know what's going to happen transactionally between now and then. But I think we can look at some of the strides that you mentioned, Stowers, and you mentioned what Marcy was able to, what he was able to do at the end, just to name a few that have come up that we can, somewhat that, kind of pencil them in, health permitting, that we're counting on them to, take some further steps, but that are the amount of players that we also have coming through our minor league system, the amount of depth we've been able to acquire and develop. So the exciting part is we feel like we have a really good, young group of players that are only going to get better, also with, players that are behind them that are continuing to put themselves in position to either take down meaningful innings or meaningful plate appearances for us next year.
Clayton, you care about these players as people so deeply, and you spend so much time around the guy for 8 months, 9 months. For the conversation, Stowers is an example, but plenty of other guys, and it seems like the Marlins fan base wants so-and-so extended and so-and-so extended. For the conversation to shift from, am I on the team on opening day, to what does an extension look like? How does that make you feel for these guys, the guy?
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's that part of it. There is a business side of what we're doing here as well, right? And, we talk to our players a lot about, look, we're trying to get you. I mean, why we preach so much about development and getting better is ultimately like you perform more consistently and you perform at a higher level on the field. Like monetarily, you are going to at some point get rewarded for that as well. And you have the opportunity to, provide some security for yourself and your family, which is important to people and important to players, and also winning. And those things aren't mutually exclusive. So like, it's important for us, like we're trying to, for the team, you get into a position where you are, have the opportunity for some of these things to come your way is, we think, a great thing, because, it's good for you. It's shown that not only on the field what you're able to do, but also probably more importantly, the type of teammate you are. And you have to, you're having to bet on the person as much as you are just the individual skill ability when you're talking about wanting to, potentially have someone, over a long period of years.
Clayton McCullough with us now, and we have a lot more bases to cover. I did want to get into some of the offseason chatter about positional changes and maybe starters going to the bullpen going to start. Could you share any of that? Is there anyone that comes to mind that you've had discussions with about, hey, we preach versatility here and optionality. We think that we want you to potentially be ready to play this position.
Yeah, I have had some of those conversations with some individuals, and right now more on the position player front. And I think like before diving into this, the specific people, it was like, it's important for me and for us organizationally that the more optionality, as you mentioned, a player can have, it's beneficial for me. The amount of in-game maneuvering that can take place. I mean, we saw how valuable Sonoha was for us with his ability to kind of go anywhere at any given time. And so it gives me a lot of freedom within games to make maneuvering that I think is tactically advantageous for us to win, and for the player. The more spots that you can go to, it's a way to keep yourself in the lineup with more regularity. And that's really the only way that you can, put up the type of, performance numbers you want, is to get out there and be able to play. So, Connor Norby is one I've spoke to, and look, and I'll say this first, believe that Connor, can play third base, and we've challenged him this offseason to continue to, that's where your focus needs to be, Connor. Come in, compete, and win the third base job next year. And also, it's nice that you have some history of playing the outfield in the past, and that may be something that this spring that we look to, dive into a little bit. And so he's athletic enough, and Connor's a team guy. He wants to be on the field. He wants to help us win. And does that mean that Connor's going to be an everyday outfielder? That's not what I'm saying. Does that mean he'll ever play in the outfield? I don't know. But I think that we can, put some of those things out there, talk to Griff about maybe getting some work at first base. And, the big part, I love is most of our guys, when I have those conversations with them, they're like, okay, if that's going to help you and it's going to help our team, I'm all in. I'm all for it. So they're all about the right things. And I tell them too, I don't know if this is going to, end up playing out. Okay. I don't know what the roster is going to look like in spring training. I don't know what the roster is going to look like April or May. So many things are fluid during the season. But if you're open-minded enough to, give it a shot, it just, again, is going to give you as a player potentially more avenues to stay in the lineup. And it allows me a whole lot more flexibility and maneuverability within games. So those guys have spoken to. The outfielders sometimes are easier. Hey, you might play right or left. I think those are is not as much as it is when a guy maybe goes from the dirt to the grass, or hey, we might ask you to go from the grass into the dirt.
So much has been made about the youth on this team, and obviously you have a ton of experience in your time in LA working with veteran players. And everybody knows about your relationship with Mookie Betts. That is a needle in a haystack type of situation for a Gold Glove right fielder to make the pivot to shortstop when he's already at his stage of in his career. I am curious, from your perspective, is it easier to have these conversations with younger guys, with guys that are trying to find their footing in the big leagues and really thrive?
I think what's made some of these conversations easier is that the era that they've come up in, that it's become more the norm, where it's become more in vogue, so to speak, to, wear some different hats or have different gloves in your bag, that it's not, very few guys are just going to be penciled into the same position for their entire, 10, 12, 13, year career. That a lot of organizations have been, pushing this. You've seen how it's been able to, impact players' value. I think about guys like Kike Hernandez, who are over there, and Chris Taylor, and guys that have really made, incredible careers because of their ability to bounce around. So I think players understand more now that it's not a knock on maybe what you can't do, as that ability to be, again, flexible and provide some optionality for the club and yourself is advantageous for you as a potential earner.
Well, it's going to be nice to see the players from last year be here at spring training, because I know this year for Jack and I, we were like, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? We are going to get a couple of who's that's, Clayton. It's going to be a couple of coaches. And before we get to Corbin Day, Chris Hess, Craig Driver, etc., I did want you to give us a little bit of, what guys like Derek Showman, Tyler Smarslock, and who else we got? Joe Singley and Chichi Gonzalez, and what they provided for your first year.
Yeah, you always hate to see they were outstanding. They were a huge part of, what we were able to do last year. And I think, culturally, what we were able to try to start to get put into motion. And you hate to see people that you spend, so much time with, and you know what a quality job they did, depart. So on the one hand, though, I do see it as a good thing for the Marlins, like that, when other teams are calling and asking for permission to talk to your staff members, and this was certainly a very active offseason with the number of positions that were open, it's a good thing. I mean, I think it shows that we had identified some really talented people and were able to, put them in a position and a place to grow as coaches. And happy for them that they got opportunities that they felt right now was a real step in their career trajectory, and a ton of confidence in the group that we're bringing in. You mentioned some that are going to come in and believe they're going to make an incredible impact, the same that the staff members that we had last year that are no longer here did.
So I don't want to put this comp on you, but thinking about college football, we were just talking about the whole Lane Kiffin situation before we hit the record button. Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, those are guys that have expressed this sentiment when they have coordinators, quote unquote, poached for head coaching jobs. When their coordinators move on to head coaching jobs in the Power Five elsewhere, they view that as an almost badge of honor. Do you feel that in a certain sense, where your assistant hitting coach just became a lead hitting coach, where you had two field coordinators come from your staff this past year?
I think I view this much differently now than I did, say, 9 or 10 years ago. I remember, when in player development role with LA and a lot of staff members, you bring in and you feel like you have something good going, and now guys are getting jobs elsewhere. And it's like, man, you're kind of frustrated, right? Like all we're doing is interviewing, hiring, and onboarding. And then it was like, you know what? This is actually a really good thing. I mean, this is ultimately, like, for the staff member, we have an obligation to try to help them grow and become better and allow them to be in a position where if these opportunities do come, that they're ready for them. And you know what? That's the way this game goes, and guys take jobs. And then, you know what? It's our job now to go either try to continue to develop those ones that we have internally, or go bring in some from outside places to, and run the cycle over. So I'm very happy for them. And I hope that we continue year after year to have our phones ringing for our staff members to go, interview and be in positions, whether that be, our major league staff members, or, even those that are down, in our player development system, because I think that shows a real strength of your organization, that people are taking notice a little bit of what you're doing, and, in some small way want people that are a part of that.
Got a couple more left with Clayton McCullough. Can you tell us a little bit about Chris, Corbin Day, Craig Driver, and Harry Winowski?
Yeah, I think that you're going to love Chris and Corbin there coming in to round out our hitting crew. And we had spoke about this many times last year. We were going to want to add a third hitting coach. Just like the demands of that job right now are so intense. I mean, with the game planning, with 13 hitters at a given time that all kind of maybe need a little something differently, with the amount of data that we're getting, you're tying in biomechanical data. So there's just so much on a hitting staff's plate, and, looking at this more as a strong team. And we love Pedro as like the leader of our hitting group. And, Chris coming over from the Boston Red Sox, and he has a lot of experience with some of their really, young, talented players that made their way through that system. And now we're in the major leagues, and, he speaks a lot of the same language that, we do. He loves, plate discipline and challenging practice environments and the way to try to problem solve. So it's very much, he's in lockstep, I believe, with what we care about, but also he's going to bring his own spin on, some things that'll help our department grow. And Corbin Day, this guy just full of energy, young, last year on the Minnesota Twins staff, going to take more of an active role in the hitting space this year with us. But we believe both of those guys are going to be stars, and probably in a very short amount of time, people will be calling, wanting to talk to them as well. So we're excited what they can do, teaming with Pedro to take our offensive group and continue pushing forward. Everybody loved Cheech. Cheech was great. I mean, to go off the mound, from being a pitcher, then to just, I remember this guy showing up in January last year, strapping on the gear, trying out as a bullpen catcher. And you could see that there was no ego there, being bilingual, the experience of being a starter, reliever, been in different organizations. Cheech was a big asset for us. So, tough loss there. But, to have, we're able to, to backfill that with, we think some very, talented, hardworking, eager, individuals that are going to do their part and grow and learn and be real great teammates.
Clayton, one familiar face I want to get to. Baseball operations department saw a couple of notable promotions, one of which Gabe Kapler was elevated from assistant general manager to general manager. This is a guy that you have spoke so highly of in the last year in Miami. You feel like he is, a huge influence on who you are as a manager. For a former manager, former big league baseball player to be the GM, what does your relationship with Gabe look like on a day-to-day basis? How do you guys communicate? And what does this mean going into 26?
Yeah, I imagine, Gabe certainly has earned this promotion and elevation to general manager with the work that he's done here over the last couple of years. And so many of the, initiative systems that have been put in place from the major league level down, Gabe has certainly been in the middle of a lot of that action. And fortunate that, I think back to, 10 or 11 years ago, when I first got the chance to work with Gabe, it was a real turning point for me professionally, and how much Gabe has helped me. And he was around our team a lot last year. He was around our staff a lot, went on a lot of road trips. So I'd imagine that it'll be, very similar in our communication, and, the involvement with Peter and the rest of our front office with, how we continue to try to look to build out the roster heading into spring. And then once we get into the season, the day-to-day transactional items, and or anything, Gabe just brings a very unique perspective, as you mentioned, from, he's been a player. He went to coach, went back to playing, managed in the big leagues, been a farm director, been in the front office. So he has a lot of different experiences to pull from. He's been around a lot of different organizations. And so it's always nice when Gabe sits down, because he's going to ask you questions. He's going to challenge you, which I think is a very healthy thing for all of us to be a part of.
Frankie Polari, Vinesh Kanthan, and Gabe Kapler all promoted in the offseason. Okay, two quick ones for me. You went to the Dominican Republic. You visited the academy out there. But I got a question for my guy, Gus. Augustin Ramirez has been on Instagram. He's been working out. He looks great. Did you see Gus? What can you tell us about how his offseason is going?
Yeah, I did. I had the chance to go down there for 3 days. It was amazing. And Gus was there working out one of those days. And he's been a regular visitor to our academy in the DR, and he looked great. And not only did he look great, but just the way he was speaking, and how he was able to reflect on. He went back even before the start of last year, and and he was very self-aware of, he was working hard, but I at some points you have to kind of go through a season to realize, there's going to be a different level of, detail I need to put into my work, for what's ahead. And now that he knows that, he really was down there, working very hard on his blocking and his receiving. And you mentioned Craig Driver earlier. Craig was able to get down there for a day and spend a session with Gus, which is going to be huge. You guys are going to love Drives. He's very intelligent. He's going to bring a lot. But Augustine is not backing away or shying away from this challenge. And we believe that Augustine is going to be, a very good catcher in this league. For us, and still see him that way right now. And he's doing everything in his power to put himself, in a position this offseason to be better than he was when he left, at the end of last season. So I can let everybody out there know that's listening that Gus is down there. He's working, and he's really invested in making this thing happen.
Boots on the ground journalism, Jack. Clayton McCullough.
That's huge. Yeah, it's important. How was the visit to the DR as a whole, though? That had to be great. Yeah,
it was. Our academy is beautiful. It really is. It's what the work that Jay Lastly and Johnny Bloom have done. It was so much energy, and I know I talk a lot, but I'll say this: I've been probably almost 25 times. That was, I'd been a lot. I love going down there, right? The passion, the pureness of baseball that you get to experience, the energy that's down there, and the highlight for me this trip was taking my son. And to have him be able to come down and experience those 3 days with me, stay on site, be at a baseball field all day, watch the action in the weight room, out on the fields. He's coming down in the cage. We mess around a little bit, and he runs back up, do his thing. And it was really the amount of conversations they're having, building on leadership, and our guys learning how to be great teammates. So it wasn't just ground ball after ground ball and swings. There was a really holistic approach to our young men improving in all facets.
We are also a week away from the winter meetings. I'm going to prepare you for the media jackals, Clayton McCullough, because I got your back. I'm beyond a radio broadcaster. Last year, you were asked, what individual were you really excited to work with? Here's what you had to say last year.
I'm really excited about Edward Cabrera. And again, just had the chance for last few years, a few opportunities where you're competing against him, and just kind of know what guys, in those hitters meetings, they weren't fans of having to, kind of go up there and take that at bat. And again, it's young, great stuff. Like there's so much more in that in the tank there, and so I think he's a really exciting one for me, just because like the upside is so big, and I feel like, hey, it's gonna, not everybody's path to success is linear, right? And so, but like it's real ability that can win major league games.
8-7, a 5.3 or 3.5 rather ERA, 137 and 2/3 innings, 150 punch outs, 26 starts. You nailed that one. Who's our guy for this year? Who are you really excited for in 2026?
All right, can I do two?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I think one. I think the Major League Comeback Player of the Year next year is going to be Sandy Alcantara. And I think, if Edward was my pick to click last year, this year my pick to click is going to be Otto Lopez. I think Otto Lopez is going to shine again defensively, the base running, and offensively, I really believe that Otto is going to take some continued strides and I think this guy's going to have a really big year all around.
I approve,
Jack.
Love both of them.
I approve. All right, Clayton. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much for taking the time in the middle of your off season. Have fun at the winter meetings. It's in Orlando, so it's not too far of a trip over there. Enjoy it. I know we'll talk before the holidays, but we appreciate you again as always for jumping on with us.
All right, Steve and Jack, great to catch up with you guys. Thanks.
Coming up next, love it or leave it. But before that, here's a message from us. Well, it's that time of the year, folks, the holiday season. You want to nail that gift for that special someone, and I've got the perfect one for you. Forget the jewelry. How about experiences? How about some memories? The Marlins Holiday Bundle. First thing that you get is opening day tickets, March 26th, Marlins and Rockies. How can you forget what happened last year for the Marlins? Kyle Stowers walked off. You had to be there. You can be there, though, this year. Second thing, you get to choose one marquee matchup. Phillies, Mets, LA Dodgers have won back-to-back World Series championships. You can attend one of those games as well. And I'm not done. How about on Saturdays at home? The Marlins are wearing some fire, that City Connect jersey. You can customize it yourself at a special discounted price. So those are three things that you get with the bundle. Don't wait. Celebrate the holiday season with the holiday bundle today at marlins.com/holiday.
Hey, Marlins fans, the 2026 season is right around the corner, and the Fightin' Fish are primed to make this one a memorable year in South Florida. Building off of an exciting 2025, the Marlins will look to make some serious waves in 26. Join us at the ballpark on opening day when the Fish host the Colorado Rockies on Thursday, March 26th. Opening day tickets and single game tickets for all 81 Marlins home games are now on sale. Just head to marlins.com/tickets and make sure you're there.
All righty. That was fun, Jack. No?
That was
a good
fun.
interview.
That was a great interview. I love talking to Clayton. And Clayton just seems loose, happy, off-season mode. I think he's loose and happy during the season, but
got some color in his face. He's happy.
I think this guy's just living his best life right now. He's hanging out. Hopefully, he got to Disney with the family for a minute, and he's you know what? I'm really happy for Clayton. What a year it was. You mentioned he got National League Manager of the Year votes. That guy is so deserving of all the love that people are heaping on him around Major League Baseball.
This team was supposed to win 62 games, according to the experts, and they won 79. They won just 62 games in 2024. Again, 79 wins for the Miami Marlins. Did write down some talking points, and then we'll get to love it or leave it. This doesn't have to be a huge segment, but thought it was interesting. Griffin Conine, he's going to get some reps at first base. Connor Norby, he will see the outfield. Augustine Ramirez, I know that's been a big topic of discussion. He is going to stay at catcher right now. He's in the offseason. He's working. Clayton met with him. Some extension stuff as well. I know we tried our best to. It's not in Clayton's court whether there's going to be extensions or not, but I do want to mention the last player was Richard Blyer to land a pre-arb deal in 2022. And then his predictions, Clayton McCullough's, Sandy Alcantara, Major League Comeback Player of the Year,
Love
and
that
Otto Lopez, who hit 246, 15 home runs, and 77 RBIs.
Yeah, so the Sandy one, like if you guys were watching, you saw my fist pump when he said that. That seems like an absolute layup. I almost want to say be bolder, Clayton, because it almost feels like it's already come true. The Sandy that we saw for the final month and a half of the season, starting in that start in Boston. You remember that start at Fenway Park?
Of course.
Where he just looked amazing. That gave him all the confidence he needed to push through the final month and a half. And for me, going into 26, I look at Sandy saying, you know what, this guy's going to recapture all of that magic and all that value and all of that like leadership. It's not like the leadership ever went away, but all of that on-field leadership that he might have felt like he lost in 23 at the end of the year, missing all the 24, and then 25, pitching like a shell of himself at points. I'm really excited to see what Sandy does in 26, and I love the Otto shout. You know how much I love Otto.
Yes.
Defense will always carry you. He will stay in the big leagues for a long time because of how good of a defender he is. But that bat, it looked better and better as the year progressed. I'm really fired up for Otto.
One thing on Sandy, when you look at this team won 79 games, and their pitching numbers were in the 25s to the 30s as far as rankings are concerned for Major League Baseball, which I know some could be skewed a little bit because the bullpen pitched so well from the middle of July to on. But you get like a normal year from Sandy Alcantara, those numbers are going to look completely different, and who knows what 79 wins turns into with a Sandy Alcantara season that he's pitching to a 3 ERA.
Yeah. Respectfully, also, I mean, you swap in some Ryan Weathers starts if he can stay healthy in 26, and you swap out some Cal Quantrill starts, that number looks a little bit different too. There were a lot of things that changed quickly that probably hampered those numbers, right? I mean, Connor Gillespie really struggled at the beginning of the year as well. You start to look at what an optimized rotation looks like and what an optimized bullpen looks like. More Ronnie Enriquez on the back end. There are so many guys that you just figured out what their role is going to be in 26. You figured that out in 2025. I feel like we're going to see an optimized pitching staff in 26.
And I'm just being fair here, and I believe Ronnie is nasty. But there are going to be guys that just take steps back because that's just what baseball is. I don't know if Ronnie Enriquez can put together the numbers that he did equally like he's going to, like he did in 25 and 26. I don't know, but that there's going to be some guys that had great years that are going to just naturally take a step back. I don't know what that looks like if it's a number standpoint, but that is going to be the case. So that's that yin and yang that you do have to, fare for.
But building off of that, what an amazing starting block for these guys in 26, amazing. Right? If Ronnie still takes a step back, he can be a top 25 reliever in Major League Baseball. Yes. There are so many guys that look the part and then some. Even if they regress a teensy tiny bit, they built this bedrock in 25 that you just want to push further as the years go on.
You ready for Love It or Leave It, man?
I am. I'm fired up for this. This is my second Love It or Leave It ever. The first thing I ever did with you was, I think, one of the last hot.
Did you get muted there?
I don't think so.
Oh, good. Yeah, it was the last one. The last Hot Stove Show. It was like your introduction. We did Love It or Leave It.
Yeah, so this is my second Love It or Leave It.
Is this music too hot? Should we turn it down just a little bit?
I don't know.
It's the beauty of podcasting. Okay. Love it or leave it. We just had Thanksgiving. I don't know if you do this for your family or with your family, but as you're eating dinner, you take a moment to talk about what you're thankful for.
Yeah.
You love or leave that because some people find it really challenging, not because they're not thankful, because when you're on the spot and your family's in front of you and your friends, some people clam up a little bit. Love it or leave it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it because we're paid to talk for a living, which is nice. We know how to express our thoughts, and we're also very emotionally in tune people. I think that's fair to say.
I agree.
I think we can express what we're thankful for. I feel like I've always kind of been good at doing that, so I love it. But if you're talking to a table full of second cousins that you hardly know, I'm leaving it at that point.
Okay. So context is key here.
Context is key, but I would say overall, love it.
If this is immediate family, you're loving it.
Oh, I love every second of it.
But if this is third cousin Sally sitting
out.
across from you saying, "Tell me what you like about me,"
no, I'm leaving that and I'm driving far away. Do you have another Thanksgiving one? Because I have one for you.
I do. Kind of. It kind of goes with the holiday season. But go ahead,
Okay.
give me your one. Give me your.
Love it or leave it, traditional Thanksgiving food.
Forced to love it. Forced to love it. I don't love turkey. That's no longer a hot take. I think there's a lot of people that are in my boat right now talking about like turkey isn't great. You just do it because you feel like you have to. It's kind of like the high school senior prom. I didn't really want to go to prom. I just felt like I had to do it. That's kind of how I feel about turkey. It's that high school prom for me. Love the stuffing, love the mac and cheese, love the mashed potatoes. It's really just the turkey that gives me the eh. But yes, I'm loving that. You?
I'm leaving it. I haven't done a traditional Thanksgiving dinner in a couple of years,
What do
and
you
I
do?
love that transition. I did a seafood and risotto deal. We went out to dinner on Thanksgiving night, and I love that. Listen, stuffing is solid. Sweet potato, whatever with the marshmallow, that's solid. Green bean
Cranberry
casserole,
sauce.
solid. Turkey, fine. My thing is, it's not my first choice. And isn't Thanksgiving about just getting way too full? If I'm going to get way too full, I don't want to do it with my
You want
C
seafood
team
risotto.
dinner. I want to do it with my A team dinner.
The good. It's fair. It's fair. I think the tradition is what always holds people back. I think there's a lot of people that share that sentiment that say, you know what, if I'm going to do Thanksgiving and I want to be stuffed, let's go get pizza, let's go get baked ziti, whatever it is. But again, it's like the high school prom. You just feel like you have to go. Did you go to your high school prom?
I did. Yeah, I had a good time at high school prom.
Very good. Love it or leave it. Miami Invitational. December 8th. Shout out to my little sister. Happy birthday. And my best friend, Mike Hickman. At Lone Depot Park. Carlos Alcaraz. This is going to be awesome. I'm going to start. I love this. I love that Lone Depot Park is becoming this. What was the thing I just did last week for MTE, multiple team event, or not multiple team event, but multiple events?
Yeah.
It's not just for baseball. It's
Right.
the Winter Classic. It's the WBC. It's now tennis.
Right. It started, it feels like this year kind of kicked off with the Breezy Bowl. Chris Brown came in and it was an amazing concert venue. And now we get a tennis court and in a month we get a hockey rink. Like it's so cool what Anthony Favada and his team are doing with Lone Depot Park. You have a humongous surface and you get to turn this thing into a high-level tennis complex. And by the way, if you're looking for high-level tennis matches, this is your place to be.
You're a
It's
tennis
gonna
guy.
be Carlos. Yeah, I am. Sneaky tennis guy. Carlos Alcaraz is the world number one on the men's side. He takes on João Fonseca, who lives in South Florida. João Fonseca has done some great stuff at Lone Depot Park already, and he's a top 25 player in the world. So really excited for that. And then on the women's side, you've got Amanda Anisimova, who is a top 5 player in the world. Anisimova is from South Florida, and she's going to take on an American Jessica Pegula, who is, according to the WTA, the world number 6.
Go
So you've
off,
got a
gang.
top 10 matchup in the world on the women's side, a top 25 matchup, including the world number 1 on the men's side. And oh, by the way, they're going to play mixed doubles for a 10-point tiebreak. So
I
that's
love
gonna be-
that.
Yeah, it's amazing. So in the middle of that, you're going to get Alcaraz and Pegula against the 2 South Florida natives and residents, Anisimova and João Fonseca. It's going to be such a cool event. Again, doors at 5:30. The event actually starts at 7 o'clock, and that's on Monday night. Tickets still available at marlins.com/tickets.
Marlins.com/tickets or Marlins.com/tennis.
Yes.
December 8th. You don't want to miss it. Love it or leave it. Holiday music on December 2nd.
Love it. On the drive back from Thanksgiving dinner, I queued up Michael Bublé's Christmas album,
Ooh.
and I
You felt
love it. I drove back. I was with my immediate family on Thursday. First thing Friday morning, I hit the road back to me and my fiance's apartment, and I was hanging out with the future in-laws. And the first thing we did within 30 minutes of me being back in the apartment is putting up the Christmas tree and decorating ornaments and getting everything set up. So I love it. I am a sucker for this stuff.
So November, I don't know, but December, it's go time. I actually had it on this morning. Starting my morning right, with it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas as I looked outside and it was 80 degrees.
Now, can I show my geography here?
Go ahead.
Do you miss the winter weather at Christmas time, or are you all about Christmas in Miami?
I do, but I'm also going home for Christmas. I always do. I've done that since I've moved down here in 2021. Once you get there, once you smell that, it's kind of fresh air in Newark, and then you start to drive a little bit and you get that seaport smell, and you're like, yeah, I'm home. I'm home. But you see your breath. When you see your breath and you see there's no leaves anymore, and you're in your winter jacket, you start to really feel Christmas. That's the one thing with Christmas. Like Thanksgiving I had here in Miami, and it was fine. I was a little bit worried. It was my first time not being in Jersey for it, but it was fine. Yeah. Christmas here, no, not for me.
I get it.
Love it or leave it, turtlenecks.
Love. You're going to see me. Yeah, no, you're going to see me wearing a turtleneck probably next episode. I love them.
Have you worn a turtleneck before?
All the time.
Okay.
What I recently started doing.
You proposed in a turtleneck.
I proposed in a turtleneck.
Yeah, you look good.
In a turtleneck. The big thing is, the last couple of years, I've called some college basketball.
Stop.
And the thing that I've started doing is the turtleneck under the blazer, and it looks so good. Try it. Just try it.
Welcome back here to Ball State basketball.
Yes. Ball State in Western Michigan. Get ready. I'm in a turtleneck.
All right, last one. Love it or leave it. The MLB Draft Lottery. This is December 9th. The Marlins have a 1.85% of winning the lottery. The most likely outcome is the 10th pick. Love it or leave it, the lottery.
I love it. I don't necessarily... I would leave the NFL draft lottery system where it's not a lottery. It's just the worst record gets the best pick. I don't think Major League Baseball teams, even a decade to a half decade ago, were actively tanking. I feel like it's much harder to tank in baseball than it is in NFL football, let's say. But I love that there's a matter of chance that goes into getting the number one pick. So even if you do sell off every piece, you're not guaranteed the number one. There's nothing to tank for. It incentivizes winning even further. So I'm all about that. That was your last one?
That was my last one.
I've got two for you.
Go ahead. Give it to me.
Love it or leave it, La Gente del Barrio's home run derby at Lone Depot Park. Can I just read you? Yeah, of course, love it.
Well, read it to me, and I'm still going to say love it.
Saturday, December 6th at Lone Depot Park. You got the celebrity softball game that happens, I want to say at 1 o'clock, and then at 4 o'clock is the home run derby. Tickets are still available. This is the home run derby field that you can see at Lone Depot Park. O'Neal Cruz, who put on an absolute show in the home run derby this year in Atlanta. Ketel Marte with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Carlos Santana, the veteran. Noelvi Marte with the Cincinnati Reds. Gleyber Torres, the all-star with the Tigers. And Jose Ramirez, maybe the best third baseman in all of Major League Baseball. You get that at Lone Depot Park in December.
Man. That's an unbelievable lineup.
I'm all about it. So again, December 6th. Last one. Love it or leave it. Ole Miss not letting Lane Kiffin coach in the playoff. Lane Kiffin just left to take the LSU head football coach job.
Yeah, for people that aren't filled in on the college football scene, Lane Kiffin just went 11-2 with Ole Miss. The college football playoff is coming up. LSU off firmly in the
playoff, and he dragged out this decision to either stay at Ole Miss or go to LSU for 3 weeks too long.
LeBron James decision thing, yes. Do I love it or leave it for him not coaching? I love that he's not coaching. Yes. I know that there's people that are going to say, oh, it's one season, live in the moment, whatever it may be. But there's principles that I live by. There's values that I live by. There's black and white. And for me, if you are going to leave me, I heard this from Scott Van Pelt. I'm just going to take it.
I love it.
If my wife told me I'm going to leave you for for our neighbor that I despise, that I don't like, and she does that, and then she says, oh, you know what? Can we stay together for Christmas? Can I come over for Christmas? Out. Don't let the door hit you behind. There's certain things I just believe that are right and wrong. If you're 11-1, this is what you do this for. You go 11-1. You have a chance to go to the playoff with your team, with Ole Miss, who wasn't necessarily a powerhouse when you took over, by the way. You did this from scratch. Finish what you started, man. I don't know what the money looks like, and I know it's different if it's $100 million versus whatever he's making right now. I know it's with the M. I know if I get an M, I'm going to be extremely happy. And I know it's right now, and I know down the road you might be like, all right, like now $1 million is not good enough. Come on, man. What is this about? Is this about money, or is this about winning and impacting lives? Love it. You?
Yeah. I agree with you, I think. Yeah. Listen, is it a better job at LSU? Probably. But how many coaches have you heard say they had opportunities presented to them, and professionals in general, they had opportunities presented to them, and the timing just wasn't right? This is a clear-cut example of the timing not being right and still doing it. And I saw someone tweet this, college football writer on a national scale, I think for The Athletic. Part of being an adult is making difficult decisions and living with the repercussions of those decisions.
Exactly.
And this is a repercussion of that decision.
It would send. I think it would send the wrong message to let Lane Kiffin finish when he left. I mean, that's just my
listen. Beauty of our lives, we get to talk about baseball. We don't have to deal with the coaching carousel in college football.
Great show. Great start to the hot stove season. Great, excellent start. Big thanks to Clayton McCullough. Big thanks to you, Jack McMullen, for, of course, just the wealth of knowledge that you bring to this program. What else we got on tap? We got winter meetings next week.
Yep.
We do have a surprise guest. It's not a player, although we will have a player right before we head to the winter break. That will be on the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. So next week, we'll talk winter meetings. We'll see what happens. There was some stuff that happened last year. Jake Berger was traded from the Miami Marlins to the Texas Rangers. So we will fill you in if there's anything that happens of relevance. I'm really excited about the rest of our hot stove season. We don't have a ton of new guys that we have to introduce to the team, which is actually a really good thing, but we have enough to give the audience a little bit of a behind the scenes and some background on some of these coaches. I think this was a good start to the Hot Stove Show. We got a lot more to chew off. Closing thoughts by you.
No, great job by you facilitating and just being the king you are, man. So I'm all about this. Really excited to talk some ball. It feels like it's been too long, although we're kind of in the dead of winter, but excited to keep tabs on everything Stove and Marlins related.
Remember, again, you can get your tickets for, of course, opening day, marlins.com/tickets. You can also go to the Miami Invitational, which is next week, marlins.com/10. So we got a ton of events. Again, the MLB Draft Lottery, December 9th. We'll have that, though, covered for you next week. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Steven Strom, that's Jack McMullen. We'll talk to you next time on the